In the quietest corner of night, where shadows dance with moonlight and the world exhales its daily burdens, there exists a path older than the oldest tree, gentler than morning dew upon a lotus petal. Tonight, we walk together along this ancient way, where footsteps make no sound and questions bloom like cherry blossoms in eternal spring. Before we begin this gentle journey into the heart of peace, if you find solace in these whispered wisdom stories, feel free to subscribe to our channel. Offer a gentle like to this video, and perhaps share in the comments where in the world you're listening from tonight. Your presence here, in this moment, is a gift to the universe itself. Picture, if you will, a single monk walking a forest path as dawn breaks through ancient pines. His footsteps are light, leaving barely an impression on the earth. Behind him, incense from the monastery curls upward, disappearing into the vast sky like prayers made visible. Cherry blossoms drift down like snow, each petal carrying with it the whisper of impermanence, the gentle reminder that all things arise and pass away, like clouds crossing the face of an eternal moon. This is the way of Buddhism, the religion of no religion, the path of pathlessness, where we discover that what we seek has always been here, waiting patiently within the silence of our own hearts. Tonight, we explore the gentle paradox of Zen, that in letting go of everything, we find everything. In becoming nothing, we become all things. In seeking silence, we hear the song of the universe itself. Rest now, dear friend. Close your eyes softly and let your breath become the bridge between this moment and the infinite, wisdom that flows like a quiet river through all beings. The journey begins not with arrival, but with the gentle art of being present, here now, in this blessed darkness where all light is born. In the deepest hour of night, when the world has settled into its natural rhythm of rest, a question arises. Like mist from a mountain lake, what is the sound of peace before thought? Imagine yourself sitting beside a still pond in the temple gardens. The water is so clear, so perfectly still, that it becomes a mirror of the star-scattered sky above. In this reflection, where does the water end and the heavens begin? Where does the seeker end and the sought begin? These are the gentle mysteries that Buddhism invites us to explore, not with the harsh light of analysis, but with the soft gaze of wonder. The Buddha himself, 2,500 years ago, sat beneath the spreading branches of the Bodhi tree and asked the ultimate question: what is the nature of suffering, and how do we find peace? But perhaps, dear friend, the question itself was already the answer. Perhaps in the very act of questioning, with complete openness and tender curiosity, we touch the edge of understanding. Consider the paradox that Zen masters have contemplated for centuries. If Buddhism is the religion of no religion, what are we actually practicing? If the goal is to let go of all goals, what are we truly seeking? Like trying to catch moonlight in a fishnet, the harder we grasp, the more elusive peace becomes. Yet when we open our hands completely, moonlight fills our palms like liquid silver. In this gentle darkness that surrounds you now, feel how your breath comes and goes without effort, without thought, without planning. This is your first teacher, this simple, natural rhythm that has carried you through every moment of your life. Each inhalation is a small birth, each exhalation a small death, and between them lies the eternal moment where all possibility rests. The ancient masters spoke of the beginner's mind, shoshin in Japanese, that quality of openness, eagerness, and freedom from preconceptions that allows us to see each moment as if for the first time. Tonight, as you listen to these words, can you approach this ancient wisdom with fresh eyes? Can you hear these teachings as if they were being spoken for the very first time, just for you in this precious moment? There is a story told in Zen circles about a master who was asked, "What is Buddha?" Without hesitation, he replied, 3 pounds of flax. His student was confused, expecting some profound theological explanation. But the master was pointing to something far more immediate. The Buddha nature exists not in lofty concepts, but in the most ordinary things around us. In the weight of flax, in the sound of rain on leaves, in the gentle rhythm of your heartbeat as you rest here in the darkness. Let yourself sink deeper into this questioning space, where uncertainty becomes a doorway rather than a wall. What if not knowing is actually a form of knowing? What if confusion is simply clarity that hasn't yet recognized itself? What if this very moment, with all its apparent imperfection, is already the enlightenment you seek? As sleep begins to call to you like a distant bell in the mountain temple, carry with you this soft questioning, not the harsh interrogation of the anxious mind, but the gentle wondering of a child who sees snow for the first time, who asks not because they need answers, but because the asking itself is a form of joy, a form of love, a form of perfect presence in the eternal now dot in the soft lamplight of ancient monasteries, where parchment scrolls hold the whispered wisdom. Of ages, we find teachings that speak to hearts both ancient and modern. Like water finding its own level, these truths flow naturally into any vessel, any era, any soul open enough to receive them. The Buddha spoke of the Four Noble Truths, but tonight, let us receive them not as doctrine to be memorized, but as gentle rain falling on the garden of consciousness. The first truth whispers to us, life contains suffering dukkha, but not as punishment or failure. Rather, like winter preparing the soil for spring, suffering is simply the natural friction that arises when we resist the flowing nature of existence. Picture a leaf trying to cling to its branch as autumn arrives. The suffering comes not from the falling, but from the resistance to falling. Yet when the leaf releases its grip, it doesn't plummet in despair. It dances on the wind, spiraling gracefully toward the earth that will transform it into rich soil for new life. This is the first truth. Not that suffering is inevitable and hopeless, but that our resistance to change creates the very pain we seek to avoid. The second truth flows like a gentle stream from the first. This suffering arises from our attachments, our desperate grasping at things that are by their very nature temporary. But attachment here doesn't mean love or caring. It means the tight fist that tries to hold on to sunlight, the rigid mind that demands that impermanent things remain forever unchanged. In your own life. Dear listener, you've felt this truth. The ache when someone you love changes or grows in unexpected ways. The fear when circumstances shift beyond your control. The exhaustion of trying to force life to match your pictures of how it should be. This isn't weakness or spiritual failure. It's simply what happens when we forget that everything flows, everything changes, everything moves in the great dance of becoming. But here comes the third truth like dawn, breaking over mountains. This suffering can end, not through escape or denial, but through the profound acceptance that the Buddha called enlightenment awakening to what was always already here. It's like suddenly realizing you've been searching everywhere for the glasses that were resting on your head all along. The peace you seek isn't somewhere else, waiting to be found. It's the very awareness with which you're seeking it. The fourth truth is the gentle path itself, the noble eightfold path that the Buddha described, not as rules to follow, but as natural ways of living that arise when we align ourselves with the flow of existence. Right speech that comes from kindness, right action that springs from compassion, right mindfulness that blooms when we stop fighting what is and start dancing with what is. These teachings, born in the dust of ancient roads and the shade of Bodhi trees, speak to your modern heart with startling relevance. In our age of constant connectivity, the Buddha's words about mindfulness feel like cool water in a desert. In our time of material abundance alongside spiritual hunger, his teachings about non-attachment offer not poverty, but true wealth, the wealth of contentment, of presence, of inner peace. There's a beautiful sutra that speaks of Indra's net in the sun, infinite web of jewels, each one reflecting all the others, stretching across the universe. In this vision, every being, every moment, every breath you take is both unique and utterly interconnected with all existence. Your peace contributes to the peace of the world. Your awakening ripples out like circles from a stone dropped in still. Water, touching shores you'll never see dot as you rest here in this blessed darkness. Feel yourself as one jewel in this infinite net, reflecting the light of all other jewels, illuminated by their radiance. The monk who first taught these truths under starlight, similar to what shines above you now, a modern seeker reading these words on a glowing screen, the child who will someday discover these same truths in their own heart, all connected, all reflecting the same eternal light of awareness. Doth the ancient wisdom settle into your bones like warm honey, not as something foreign to be learned, but as something familiar being remembered. These teachings don't ask you to become someone different. They invite you to recognize who you've always been beneath the layers of forgetting, beneath the stories of separation, beneath the illusion that peace is anywhere other than right here, right now, in this very moment of gentle surrender. In the golden light of memory, where past and present dissolve like sugar in warm tea, there lived an old monk named Jisho in a small temple nestled among bamboo groves in ancient Japan. His hair was white as winter clouds, his eyes crinkled, with the laughter lines that come from decades of finding joy in the smallest moments. The younger monks would often find him in the temple garden at dawn, sitting perfectly still beside a small pond, watching the koi fish glide through water so clear it seemed made of liquid light. One autumn morning, as maple leaves painted the world in shades of fire and gold, a troubled young seeker arrived at the temple gates. She carried the weight of the world in her shoulders, her face etched with the kind of suffering that comes from trying too hard to understand life rather than simply living it. She had traveled from monastery to monastery, collecting teachings. Like a merchant collects coins, yet peace remained as elusive as morning mist. "Master Jisho," she said, bowing deeply, "I have studied every sutra, memorized countless koans, practiced meditation until my legs cramped and my back ached. Yet I feel further from enlightenment than when I began. What am I doing wrong?" The old monk smiled, his eyes twinkling like stars reflected in still water. Without a word, he rose slowly and walked to his small tea ceremony room, gesturing for her to follow. The room was simple tatami mats worn smooth by decades of use, a single scroll painting of a mountain disappearing into clouds, and a small alcove holding a perfectly imperfect ceramic bowl. Jisho began to prepare tea with movements so fluid they seemed like a meditation themselves. He heated the water, not rushing the process, allowing each bubble to form and rise in its own time. He measured the tea leaves with the reverence usually reserved for sacred rituals. The young woman watched, initially impatient, then gradually drawn into the hypnotic rhythm of his actions. As steam rose from their cups like incense made visible. Jisho spoke in a voice soft as wind through silk. "Tell me, my dear child, when you drink this tea, do you taste the rain that nourished the tea plant?" The woman paused, considering. "I am not sure what you mean, master. Do you taste the soil that held its roots? The sunshine that warmed its leaves? The hands of the farmer who tended it with care? The mountain spring water that now carries its essence to your lips?" His eyes never left hers, gentle but infinitely deep. She sipped slowly, and for the first time in months, she was fully present to the moment. The tea was neither bitter nor sweet, but somehow perfectly itself warm, comforting, complete. "I tasty tea," she said simply, then laughed at the apparent foolishness of her answer. But Jisho's smile widened. "Exactly. You taste tea, not the concept of tea, not the philosophy of tea, not the spiritual implications of tea. Just tea itself, in all its simple perfection." He set down his cup with infinite care. This is what you've been missing in your spiritual seeking. You've been trying so hard to understand Buddhism that you forgot to simply be Buddha. The woman felt something shift inside her, like a door opening to a room that had always been there but somehow overlooked. You mean, I already am what I'm seeking? What else could you be? Jisho's voice carried the warmth of a father speaking to a beloved child. The Buddha nature isn't something you achieve or earn or find after years of struggle. It's what you are right now, in this moment, drinking tea in a simple room with an old monk who has nothing to teach you that you don't already know. They sat in comfortable silence as the autumn light slanted through the paper windows, painting golden rectangles on the worn mats. Outside, a single bird called from the bamboo grove, not seeking anything, not trying to be enlightened, just singing because that's what birds do. Years later, when the young woman had become a teacher herself, she would often tell this story to her own students. She would speak of how true awakening isn't a dramatic flash of cosmic consciousness, but something as gentle and ordinary as truly tasting tea, fully hearing a bird's song, completely feeling the breath as it enters and leaves the body. Master Jisho lived to be 97, spending his final decades in the same simple way he'd spent all his years tending his garden, preparing tea, sitting by the pond watching the koi fish swim in their endless, purposeless, perfect circles. When students would ask him for advanced teachings, he would simply point to the fish and say, "They never read a single sutra, yet they've mastered the art of being completely themselves." On the day he died, peacefully in his sleep as cherry blossoms began to bloom, they found beside his bed a single note written in his careful calligraphy. "The tea was always perfect. I just needed to taste it." As you rest here in the gentle darkness, dear friend, feel how this story settles into your heart like warm tea into an empty cup. You too are already what you seek. You too are already Buddha, already awakened, already home. The spiritual path isn't about becoming someone new. It's about relaxing into who you've always been. Beneath the stories, beneath the seeking, beneath the beautiful, exhausting effort to improve yourself. Tonight, as sleep prepares to embrace, you let yourself simply be as natural as those koi fish, as present as Master Jisho sipping his tea, as perfect as you are in this very moment, exactly as you are. Now, dear traveler of the inner landscape, let us turn our gentle attention inward, like a flower slowly opening to receive the morning dew. Close your eyes if they aren't already closed, and feel yourself settling more deeply into this moment, this breath, this perfect stillness that exists at the very center of your being. Begin by noticing your breath, not controlling it, not trying to make it deeper or slower or better than it is, but simply witnessing it as you would watch clouds drifting across an endless sky. With each inhalation, you're drawing in not just air, but the entire universe itself. The oxygen that fills your lungs was once part of ancient seas, of towering redwoods, of the first breath taken by countless beings who walked this earth before you. And with each exhalation, you're releasing not just carbon dioxide, but everything you no longer need: the tensions of the day, the worries about tomorrow, the stories you tell yourself about who you should be. Let each out-breath be a small letting go, a gentle surrender to what is. Feel yourself sinking deeper into the spaciousness that exists between one breath and the next. This is the gap the meditation masters speak of, the pregnant pause where thoughts haven't yet formed, where the next moment hasn't yet crystallized, where you exist in pure potentiality, pure awareness, pure being. In this space, who are you? Without your name, without your roles and responsibilities, without your history or your hopes for the future, who remains? This is the self that Buddhism calls no self, not because you don't exist, but because what you truly are is far vaster, far more mysterious, far more beautiful than any story the mind could tell about you. Imagine yourself as awareness itself, not someone who is aware, but awareness being aware of itself. Like space that contains all objects, but is touched by none of them. You are the consciousness in which all experiences arise and dissolve. Your thoughts appear in this awareness, like birds flying across the sky present for a moment, then gone, leaving the sky unchanged, unstained, eternally pure. Feel how your body rests in this awareness, like a beloved child resting in the arms of the Divine Mother. Each sensation, each tiny pulse of aliveness is arising within the infinite space of your true nature. Your heartbeat is the drum of the universe playing its ancient rhythm. Your breath is the tide of cosmic consciousness flowing in and out of form. Notice how, from this perspective of pure awareness, there's no problem to solve, no spiritual achievement to attain, no enlightenment to grasp. You are already the peace you've been seeking. You are already the love you've been craving. You are already the freedom you've been pursuing through countless books and teachers. And practices. This is the profound recognition that Zen calls original face, the face you had before your parents were born, the essence that was never born and will never die, the Buddha nature that has been patiently waiting within you through every moment of searching, every moment of suffering, every moment of doubt. Rest here in this recognition. Don't try to hold on to it or capture it or make it permanent. Like trying to cup water in your hands, the tighter you grasp, the more it slips away. Instead, let yourself be held by it. Let this vast, loving awareness hold you like a mother holds her sleeping child, unconditionally, completely, with infinite tenderness. Feel how the boundaries between inner and outer begin to dissolve. The sound of your heartbeat and the sound of distant traffic become one song. The warmth of your body and the coolness of the night air become one temperature. The observer and the observed merge into one seamless experience of pure being. This is meditation without meditating, awakening without effort, coming home without having to travel anywhere at all. You are discovering that you are not a person having a spiritual experience, but spirit itself having a human experience. Not a wave searching for the ocean, but the ocean momentarily taking the form of a wave. From this place of deep inner stillness, all the seeking can finally rest. All the questions dissolve not because they've been answered, but because they've been revealed as unnecessary. All the spiritual effort relaxes not because you've achieved something, but because you've remembered that achievement was never required. You are already perfect. You are already whole. You are already Buddha. Not the Buddha as a historical figure or religious icon, but Buddha as the awakened nature that is your deepest truth, your most intimate reality, your eternal home. Let yourself drift deeper into this recognition, like a leaf settling gently to the bottom of the crystal clear lake. Here, in the depths of your own being, all is well. All has always been well. All will always be well. This is not spiritual bypassing or denial. This is the deepest truth that can only be known from the very center of your being, where you and the universe are revealed to be one undivided wholeness. Rest here, beloved. Rest in your own true nature. Rest in the Buddha that you are, that you have always been, that you could never not be. In the soft corners of Buddhist wisdom, where the expected meets the extraordinary, lie treasures that sparkle with the light of gentle surprise. Like discovering a hidden garden behind an ordinary door, these teachings reveal themselves to those who approach with the wonder of a child and the patience of ancient stone. There is a story, whispered in monastery halls, of a master who was asked by an earnest student, "What is the Buddha?" The master's response has echoed through centuries. A dried shitstick. Shocking, perhaps, but in this seemingly crude answer lies a jewel of profound truth, that the sacred and the mundane are not separate realms, but different names for the same indivisible reality. The Buddha nature exists not only in golden statues and sacred texts, but in the most humble, earthy, ordinary aspects of existence. This points to one of Buddhism's most beautiful secrets. Enlightenment isn't found by transcending the world, but by fully embracing it. The dirty dishes in your sink are as sacred as any altar. The sound of traffic outside your window carries the same divine resonance as temple bells. Your ordinary, imperfect human life is not an obstacle to awakening it. It is the very ground in which awakening flowers. Consider the Zen tradition of the empty cup teaching. A learned professor once visited a famous master, eager to discuss Buddhist philosophy. As the master poured tea, he continued pouring even as the cup overflowed, spilling tea everywhere. "Stop," cried the professor. "The cup is full." The master smiled gently. "Yes, and like this cup, you are full of your own ideas. How can I show you Zen until you first empty your cup?" This story reveals that wisdom comes not through accumulation, but through subtraction, not by filling ourselves with more knowledge, but by emptying ourselves of certainty. Here's a gentle surprise that often catches Western seekers off guard. The Buddha never claimed to be divine, never asked to be worshipped, never presented himself as anything more than a human being who woke up. "I am awake," he said simply. The word Buddha itself means awakened one, not God or Savior or Supreme Being, just someone who stopped sleepwalking through life. This makes the Buddhist path remarkably democratic. If the Buddha was simply a human who awakened, then every human carries the same potential dot in the Tibetan tradition. There's a practice called Tonglen, taking and giving, where practitioners breathe in suffering and breathe out relief. This seems counterintuitive to our usual desire to avoid pain and seek pleasure. Yet this practice reveals a hidden truth. When we stop running from difficulty and instead meet it with an open heart, it transforms from enemy to teacher. The very experiences we most want to escape become doorways to compassion, wisdom, and profound inner freedom. The Zen master Yunmen had a peculiar habit. Whenever students asked him profound spiritual questions, he would often respond with complete nonsense, a golden-haired lion, or a dried shitstick. His apparent absurdity concealed a deep teaching. The rational mind, for all its usefulness, cannot grasp the ultimate reality. Truth is not something to be understood, but to be lived. Not something to be thought, but to be embodied. Sometimes the most profound wisdom comes wrapped in riddles that bypass the thinking mind entirely. Here's a secret that might surprise you. Buddhism actually embraces doubt as a spiritual virtue. Unlike traditions that demand blind faith, Buddhism encourages what it calls appropriate doubt, the healthy skepticism that questions everything, including Buddhist teachings themselves. The Buddha's famous last words were, "Work out your salvation with diligence. Not believe what I've told you, but test it yourself. Find your own way." In the Japanese tea ceremony, there's a principle called wabi-sabi, finding beauty in imperfection, impermanence, and incompleteness. A tea bowl with a slight crack is considered more precious than one without blemishes, because it tells a story, because it embodies the truth that all things change and age and eventually return to dust. This aesthetic philosophy reveals something profound. Your flaws, your struggles, your very humanity are not obstacles to spiritual beauty. They are its most authentic expression. The forest monastery tradition holds a curious custom. Monks often meditate in charnel grounds, places where bodies are left to decompose. Rather than being morbid, this practice cultivates a deep appreciation for life by confronting its temporary nature. When you truly accept that this body, this breath, this moment are all temporary gifts, you stop taking them for granted. Every sunset becomes precious precisely because there won't be infinite sunsets. Every conversation matters because every conversation might be the last. Perhaps the most surprising secret of all is this: Buddhism ultimately aims to make itself unnecessary. True teachers don't create disciples, but awaken other teachers. The finger pointing at the moon hopes the student will see the moon and forget about the finger entirely. When you truly embody Buddhist wisdom, you no longer need Buddhism. You become a Buddha yourself, naturally expressing compassion, wisdom, and presence not because a teaching told you to, but because that's simply who you are. As you rest here, in the tender darkness, let these gentle surprises settle into your awareness like snowflakes on warm earth. You are more mysterious than you know, more capable than you imagine, more perfect than you believe. The very fact that you're listening to these words, that you're drawn to wisdom traditions, that you seek peace in a chaotic world, this itself is Buddha nature expressing itself through the unique, irreplaceable form that is you. Listen, can you hear it? The sound of water flowing somewhere in the distance of memory, the gentle murmur of a stream that has been flowing since the beginning of time and will continue, flowing long after we've returned to the earth from which we came. This is the river of impermanence, the sacred current that carries all things in its endless embrace. The Buddha taught that everything arises, abides for a time, and passes away, not as a tragedy to be mourned, but as the very mechanism by which life renews itself endlessly. Like a river that appears to be the same from day to day, it is never composed of the same water twice. We too are constant flows of change disguised as solid, separate selves. Imagine yourself standing beside a great river at twilight, watching. Its dark waters reflect the first stars. Each drop of water that passes before you was once part of a cloud. Before that, a breath of evaporation from some distant ocean. Before that, the sap in a tree's veins. Before that, morning dew on grass. That fed a deer that fed the earth with its eventual decay. Every molecule has been on an infinite journey, taking countless forms, serving endless purposes, never truly being born, never truly dying, only changing, always changing, eternally flowing. Your body is such a river. The calcium in your bones was forged in the heart of dying stars billions of years ago. The iron in your blood was born in stellar furnaces, whose light traveled unimaginable distances to reach this earth. The water that flows through your cells has been part of dinosaurs and ancient seas, of clouds that watered the gardens of civilizations now lost to time. You are not separate from the universe. You are the universe becoming conscious of itself. In this particular, precious, temporary form, feel your breath now, that gentle tide that connects you to all breathing beings. The oxygen you draw in was recently exhaled by a tree in some distant forest, perhaps a cherry tree in full bloom, or an ancient oak that has weathered countless seasons. That same air has been breathed by the Buddha himself as he sat in meditation, by your ancestors as they watched the same stars you see tonight, by children not yet born who will someday lie in darkness as you do now, listening to their own breath and marveling at the mystery of being alive. This is what the Buddhist teachings call anicca, impermanence, but not in the spirit of loss or melancholy. Rather, impermanence is revealed as the creative principle of the universe itself. If things didn't change, there could be no growth, no healing, no learning, no love. The very suffering you sometimes feel arises not from change itself, but from your resistance to the river's flow, like a stick caught against a rock, fighting the current instead of dancing with it. Consider the seasons, how autumn doesn't mourn the death of summer, but celebrates it in brilliant displays of gold and crimson. How winter doesn't resist spring's arrival, but gradually yields to warming air and lengthening days. Nature shows us how to embrace change not as loss, but as the eternal dance of becoming. Your own life follows these same rhythms. Seasons of expansion and contraction, times of flowering and times of rest, periods of clarity and periods of unknowing, all of it necessary, all of it sacred. The river of impermanence carries away not only what you want to keep, but also what you're ready to release. Old hurts flow downstream and disappear around the bend. Outdated versions of yourself are washed away to make room for who you're becoming. Circumstances that once seemed permanent reveal themselves as temporary weather patterns in the vast sky of your being. In Zen, they speak of beginner's mind, approaching each moment with the freshness of someone encountering life for the first time. This is possible because the river ensures that each moment truly is fresh, unprecedented, never to be repeated exactly. The breath you're taking right now has never been taken before by anyone in the history of the universe. The particular configuration of starlight and shadow, of thought and feeling, of peace and presence that you embody in this instant is unique and unrepeatable. This understanding transforms everything. When you know that all things are flowing, you stop trying to build permanent structures in the river's path. Instead, you learn to be like water yourself, flexible, adaptive, finding your way around obstacles rather than fighting them. You develop what the Taoists call Wu Wei, effortless, action that moves in harmony with natural forces rather than against them. As you rest here in the flowing darkness of night, feel yourself as both the observer of the river and the river itself. You are the awareness that watches thoughts and feelings arise and pass away, and you are also the very arising and passing away. You are the space in which all experience flows, and you are the flow itself. This is not a philosophical concept to understand, but a living reality to embody, to rest in, to trust. Let yourself be carried by this river of constant change, knowing that what you truly are, pure awareness, unconditioned love, the Buddha. Nature at your deepest core remains untouched by the flow, like the riverbed that remains constant even as countless waters pass over it. You are both the eternal and the temporal, the unchanging and the ever-changing, the stillness and the flow. In this recognition, all struggle ceases. You stop fighting the current and discover that the current has always been carrying you exactly where you need to go. The river of impermanence is revealed not as an enemy that steals what you love, but as a friend that brings you endless gifts, endless possibilities, endless opportunities to awaken to the profound beauty of this flowing, ephemeral, absolutely miraculous existence. In the heart of the Himalayas, where earth reaches toward heaven and silence has weight, there stands a mountain that has witnessed the birth and death of civilizations, the slow dance of glaciers, the patient work of wind, carving stone into sacred shapes. This mountain knows a secret that the Buddha discovered beneath the Bodhi tree, that true stillness isn't the absence of movement, but the perfect balance point at the center of all motion. Feel yourself now as this mountain, not the small, struggling self that worries about tomorrow and regrets yesterday, but the vast, enduring presence that you are beneath all the surface weather of thoughts and emotions. Your base is planted deep in the earth of being. Your peak touches the infinite sky of consciousness, and between earth and heaven, you rest in perfect equilibrium. Around you, the winds of life blow constantly, the winds of pleasure and pain, success and failure, praise and blame, gain and loss, all the pairs of opposites that Buddhism calls the 8 worldly concerns. These winds may bend the trees that grow upon your slopes, may carve new patterns in your face over countless years, but they cannot shake your fundamental stability. You remain centered, unmoved in your essence, regardless of what weather passes through. This is the paradox that meditation reveals. The more still you become, the more acutely you feel the movement of life around you, like a mountain lake, so perfectly calm that it reflects the sky without distortion. Inner stillness doesn't make you numb or disconnected. It makes you exquisitely sensitive to everything, while remaining unperturbed by anything. Watch your thoughts now as you rest. Here in the darkness, see how they arise like clouds forming around your mountain peak, drift across the sky of awareness, and dissolve naturally back into empty space. Some clouds are dark, and threatening thoughts of worry, regret, anxiety. Others are light and pleasant memories of joy, hopes for the future, moments of gratitude. But from your mountain perspective, you see that all clouds are temporary visitors in the vast sky of your being. The Buddhist teachings speak of this mountain-like quality as equanimity, not indifference or emotional numbness, but a profound inner stability that allows you to meet all experiences with an open heart. Like a mother watching her children play, you can feel deep love and care while remaining centered and unshaken by the inevitable dramas of growth and learning. In the Japanese aesthetic tradition, there's a concept called mono no aware, the bittersweet awareness of the impermanence of all things. This isn't sadness exactly, but rather a poignant appreciation that arises when you see life from the mountain's perspective. The cherry blossoms are heartbreakingly beautiful, precisely because they last only a few days. Your loved ones are infinitely precious, partly because you know your time together is limited. This moment of listening to these words is sacred because it will never come again. From your mountain stillness, you begin to see that what you thought was solid, your problems, your identity, your circumstances, is actually much more fluid than you imagined. That overwhelming situation at work? Like morning mist that burns away when the sun rises. That relationship difficulty that keeps you awake at night? Like storm clouds that look permanent until the wind shifts and suddenly the sky is clear. Paradoxically, from this perspective of impermanence, certain things are revealed as eternal. The love that connects you to others doesn't disappear when relationships change. It simply finds new forms of expression. The awareness with which you witness all experience remains constant, even as experiences themselves come and go like seasons. The peace that you seek isn't something you need to create or maintain. It's the very nature of the mountain that you are. This mountain stillness isn't something you achieve through effort or technique. It's what remains when you stop trying so hard to be anywhere other than where you are. It's your natural state, temporarily obscured by the trauma of daily life, but never actually lost. Like the sun that seems to disappear behind clouds, but never stops shining. Your essential nature remains luminous and peaceful, even in the midst of the most challenging circumstances. Feel yourself settling more deeply into this mountain-like presence. Your breath rises and falls like gentle winds across your slopes, but you remain unmoved. Sounds arise and fade, perhaps traffic in the distance, or the settling of your house, or the beating of your own heart. But these are simply the natural sounds of life, playing across the vast landscape of your being. This is what the Zen masters call just sitting, not trying to achieve any particular state or experience, but simply resting in your own true nature, like a mountain rests in its own massiveness. There's nothing to fix, nothing to improve, nothing to become. You are already the peace you seek, already the stillness you crave, already the mountain that cannot be moved by any storm. In this recognition, a profound relaxation occurs. The part of you that has been working so hard to figure everything out, to control outcomes, to make life conform to your preferences, this part can finally rest. Like a weary traveler arriving home after a long journey, you settle into the recognition that you never actually left home. The mountain of your true nature has been here all along, patiently waiting for you to remember who you are beneath all the roles you play, all the stories you tell yourself, all the endless activity of seeking. Here, in the perfect stillness that contains all movement, in the silence that holds all sound, in the peace that embraces all chaos, you are home. You are the mountain, ancient and unshakable, eternally present, forever at rest in the very heart of this flowing, changing, absolutely perfect world. The Zen master Huang Po taught that the mind is like space. It has no boundaries, no inside or outside, no coming or going. The foolish reject what they see, not what they think. he said. The wise reject what they think, not what they see. This is the invitation to stop believing every thought that arises, and instead rest in the open space of pure seeing, pure knowing, pure being. In this sky-like awareness, the usual problems of meditation dissolve. You're no longer trying to have a peaceful mind, because you've recognized that peace is the very nature of mind itself. You're no longer trying to stop thoughts, because you've seen that thoughts are simply ornaments decorating the vast space of consciousness. You're no longer seeking enlightenment, because you've discovered that enlightenment is recognizing what you've always already been. There's a beautiful teaching story about the sixth Zen patriarch, Huineng, who heard these words from the Diamond Sutra: "Let your mind flow freely without dwelling on anything." In that instant, he awakened to the sky-like nature of awareness, not by achieving something new, but by recognizing something that had always been present, the vast, open, luminous space of consciousness itself. This empty sky of mind is not blank or unconscious. It's vibrantly alive with pure knowing. Like space that makes all movement possible, this awareness makes all experience possible. Like light that illuminates everything without being changed by anything it illuminates, this consciousness allows all thoughts and feelings to be known while remaining forever unstained. Rest here now in this recognition. You are not the small, worried self that carries the burdens of yesterday and tomorrow. You are not the collection of thoughts and memories and future plans that you usually take yourself to be. You are the infinite space in which all of this arises, as vast as the night sky, as intimate as your next breath, as present as this very moment. In this space, there's room for everything. Room for joy and sorrow, for confusion and clarity, for the full spectrum of human experience to play out its drama against the backdrop of your unchanging awareness. You don't need to fix anything, improve anything, or become anything other than what you already are. You are already the peace you seek, already the freedom you desire, already the boundless love that embraces all existence. Like stars appearing at dusk, let this recognition slowly dawn in your consciousness. Not as a new belief to adopt, but as a direct, immediate knowing of your own deepest nature. You are the sky of awareness, eternally open, eternally present, eternally at peace. Rest here in this vastness, dear friend. Rest in the infinite space of your own true nature. In the tender heart of every Buddhist temple, there grows an invisible garden where the most precious flowers bloom, not petals and stems, but acts of kindness, thoughts of goodwill, moments of understanding that bridge the apparent separation between self and other. This is the garden of compassion. And tonight, as you rest in the gentle darkness, feel how it has been growing within you all your life, often without you even noticing. The word compassion comes from Latin roots, meaning to suffer with, not to fix or solve or eliminate suffering, but to be present with it, to hold it with the same tenderness a mother holds a frightened child. In Buddhism, this quality is called karunu, and it's considered one of the highest attainments, not because it's difficult to achieve, but because it's so natural to our deepest nature that we often overlook it, like forgetting to notice our own breathing. Picture the Bodhisattva Kuan Yin, known as the goddess of mercy, who is said to hear the cries of all beings throughout the universe. Sometimes she's depicted with 1,000 arms, each hand reaching out to offer help wherever it's needed. But you don't need 1,000 arms to embody this same quality. Every time you've comforted a friend, every time you've felt your heart break open at another's pain, every time you've set aside your own concerns to truly listen to someone who needed to be heard, you've been Kuan Yin in human form. The Buddha taught that compassion is not a feeling to be cultivated, but a recognition to be uncovered. When we see clearly, we see that the boundaries between self and other are like lines drawn on water. They appear solid from a distance. but up close they reveal themselves as arbitrary constructions of the thinking mind. The person suffering in front of you is not separate from you. They are you, appearing in a different form, facing a different version of the same fundamental challenges that define human existence. Feel this truth in your body now. The person who cut you off in traffic today, they carry the same hopes and fears you do, the same longing to be happy and avoid pain. The difficult family member whose behavior triggers your frustration, they too are doing their best with the tools they have, shaped by their own history of wounds and attempts at healing. The stranger on the street corner, asking for help, they are another facet of the same consciousness that looks out through your eyes, dreams your dreams, beats in your heart. This recognition naturally gives birth to what Buddhism calls loving kindness, metta. In Pali, unlike romantic love or even familial love, which are often conditional and based on personal connection, loving kindness is the unconditional goodwill that flows from seeing the Buddha nature in all beings. It's not earned or deserved. It simply is like sunlight that shines on everyone equally, making no distinction between friend and stranger, saint and sinner. There's a traditional practice of extending loving kindness in ever-widening circles, beginning with yourself. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I be at peace. May I be free from suffering. Then to someone you love easily. Then to a neutral person you neither like nor dislike. Then to someone difficult. And finally to all beings everywhere. But tonight, as sleep calls to you, let this expansion happen naturally, without effort. Like ripples spreading across a still pond dot, start by placing a hand on your heart and feeling the unconditional love you would have for a newborn baby, pure, protective, asking nothing in return. This same love exists within you for your own tender human experience, for the courage it takes to keep showing up despite uncertainty, for the beauty you create simply by being alive and aware in this moment. Let this warmth expand to include those who share your immediate space, perhaps a partner sleeping beside you, a pet curled nearby, neighbors whose lives intersect with yours in the great web of community. Feel how their well-being and yours are intimately connected, how their happiness contributes to the happiness of the world you share. Expand further to include those you may never meet, but whose lives touch yours through the invisible networks of interdependence. The farmers who grew your food, the hands that built your shelter, the countless beings whose labor and creativity make your life possible. Feel gratitude flowing toward them like gentle rain, blessing their efforts with recognition and care. Now, let your heart grow wide enough to embrace even those who have caused you pain, not because you approve of their actions, but because you see that their harmful behavior springs from their own suffering, their own confusion, their own desperate attempts to find peace in all the wrong places. This doesn't mean becoming a doormat or accepting abuse, but rather seeing clearly that hurt people, and that underneath all aggressive behavior is a frightened child who has forgotten they are loved. Finally, let your compassion expand to include all beings everywhere, every creature swimming in the oceans, every bird flying through the night sky, every human lying in darkness like you, every being caught in the cycle of seeking happiness and avoiding pain. Feel how you are not separate from this vast community of consciousness, how your peace contributes to the peace of all, how your awakening serves the awakening of the whole. This is the Bodhisattva ideal, the commitment to work for the liberation of all beings, not from a sense of duty or obligation, but from the natural overflow of a heart that has recognized its true size. You don't need to take formal vows or join a monastery to embody this ideal. Every act of kindness, every moment of patience, every breath taken with awareness contributes to the healing of the world. In the deepest teaching of Buddhist compassion, you discover that helping others is not separate from helping yourself. Because there are no others, only the one consciousness appearing as many. the one heart beating in countless chests, the one Buddha nature expressing itself through the infinite diversity of form and experience. As you drift towards sleep, let yourself rest in this garden of boundless love. You are both the gardener and the flower, both the one who loves and the one who is loved. In the morning, you may forget this recognition temporarily, but it will remain planted in the depths of your being, ready to bloom whenever life. In the ancient art galleries of Tibetan monasteries, there are sand mandalas, intricate, breathtakingly beautiful patterns created grain by grain over weeks or months by monks working in perfect concentration. Colors vibrant as jewels, geometric. Patterns complex as fractals, sacred symbols that seem to pulse with life itself. And when the mandala is complete, perfect in every detail, the monks do something that shocks the Western mind. They sweep it away, returning the colored sand to a nearby stream, watching their masterpiece dissolve and flow back to the sea. This is the dance of non-attachment, not the cold withdrawal of indifference, but the warm embrace of love without clinging, care without control, deep engagement without desperate grasping. Tonight, as you rest in the flowing darkness, feel how this ancient wisdom speaks to the deepest longings of your heart, offering a way to love fully while holding everything lightly. The Buddha taught that attachment, what the Buddhist tradition calls apdana, is the root of all suffering. But this word is often misunderstood in the West, where we sometimes think it means we shouldn't care about anything or anyone. True non-attachment is quite the opposite. It's caring so deeply, loving so completely, that you're willing to let what you love be free to change, to grow, to follow its own path, even if that path leads away from you. Picture a mother bird with her fledglings. She cares for them with total devotion, feeding them, protecting them, keeping them warm. But when the time comes for them to fly, she doesn't try to keep them in the nest. Her love expresses itself not by holding them back, but by teaching them to soar. This is non-attachment love that serves the beloved's highest good rather than your own need for security. Feel into your own life now, gently and without judgment, and notice where you might be gripping too tightly. Perhaps it's a relationship where you love someone so much that you try to control their choices, fearing that if they change, you might lose them. Maybe it's a career or achievement you've worked toward for so long that your entire identity has become wrapped up in succeeding. Or it could be subtler attachment to being seen as a good person, to having others approve of you, to maintaining an image of having your life together. The teaching of non-attachment invites you to examine these areas of grasping with compassion rather than criticism. You're not clinging to things because you're spiritually immature. You're clinging because you're human, because you've been conditioned to believe that security comes from controlling outcomes rather than trusting the process of life itself. But notice what happens when you hold something too tightly. Imagine trying to hold water in your cupped hands, squeezing your fingers together to prevent any drops from escaping. The tighter you squeeze, the more water slips through the cracks. The more desperately you try to control, the more elusive control becomes. This is the exhausting paradox of attachment. It promises security, but delivers only anxiety. Now imagine holding that same water with open palms, cupped gently, allowing it to pool naturally in the hollow of your hands. Some water might still spill over the edges, but what remains stays clear and still, reflecting the sky above. This is non-attachment, holding life gently, with open hands, allowing natural flow while appreciating what's present in this moment. The Bhagavad Gita speaks of this as detached engagement, performing all actions with full commitment while remaining unattached to the results. Like an actor who plays their role completely, pouring heart and soul into the performance while never forgetting it's a play. You can throw yourself wholeheartedly into your relationships, your work, your creative projects, while maintaining the inner freedom that comes from knowing your deepest identity isn't dependent on any particular outcome. This doesn't mean becoming passive or uncaring. The monks who create sand mandalas work on them with meticulous attention to detail, not despite the fact that they'll be destroyed, but because of it. Knowing that their creation is temporary actually frees them to make it as beautiful as possible. They're not holding back their artistic passion to protect themselves from future loss. They're giving everything precisely because they understand IMPERMAEE. In your own relationships. Non-attachment allows you to love more deeply, not less. When you're not desperately trying to make someone stay the same or meet all your needs, you can actually see them clearly, their unique beauty, their individual path, their sovereign right to grow and change. Your love becomes a gift offered freely, rather than a contract with unspoken demands attached. This extends to your relationship with your own life as well. Your body, your thoughts, your circumstances, even your spiritual insights, all of these are like clouds passing through the sky of your awareness. Beautiful while they're here, worthy of appreciation and care, but not permanent fixtures of your identity. You can tend your body with love while knowing it will age. You can treasure meaningful experiences while accepting they will become memories. You can work toward goals while remaining open to life, taking unexpected turns. The practice of non-attachment is really the practice of trust in the fundamental intelligence of life. Trust in the way things unfold when we stop trying to micromanage the universe. Trust in your own deeper wisdom that knows how to navigate uncertainty with grace. Like learning to float in water, the secret is relaxation rather than effort. The more you struggle and try to control your position, the more likely you are to sink. But when you relax and trust the water's natural buoyancy, you float effortlessly. As you rest here now, practice this floating with your own experience. Let your thoughts arise and pass away without trying to hold on to the pleasant ones or push away the uncomfortable ones. Let your breath find its own natural rhythm without controlling it. Let your body settle into whatever position feels most comfortable without forcing any particular posture. Feel how this letting go is not loss, but liberation. Like releasing a handful of autumn leaves into the wind and watching them dance on air currents you could never predict or control. Non-attachment allows the beauty of life to express itself in ways your grasping mind could never imagine. You discover that what you thought you needed to control was actually taking care of itself all along. In this space of gentle release, you find the ultimate freedom, not the freedom to get everything you want, but the freedom to be at peace regardless of what comes. This is the dance of non-attachment, moving gracefully with the rhythm of existence, contributing your unique steps to the cosmic choreography, while never insisting that the music play only your favorite songs. Rest now in this freedom. Beloved friend, let the night hold you with the perfect non-attachment of space itself, intimately present, completely supportive, absolutely undemanding. You are free to be exactly who you are, to feel what you feel, to rest as deeply as your heart desires, knowing that tomorrow will bring what it brings, and you will meet it with the same graceful letting go that allows you to sleep peacefully tonight.